was like they beat the shit out of him. That's what they did. They beat the shit out of my son and left him for dead. That's what they did.
So that is Tyre Nichols' mother, Miss Wells. She testified during the trial for the 3 of the 5 Memphis police officers that beat her son to death. As you heard her say, they beat the shit out of my son and left him for dead. And today, a jury in Tennessee acquitted 3 of those police officers for that fatal beating of Tyre Nichols. Let's talk about it. So a Tennessee jury took just over 8 hours to acquit Tyre Beam, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith of a slew of charges, including second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping with bodily injury, aggravated kidnapping with a deadly weapon, official misconduct, refraining from performing duty, and official oppression in connection with the fatal beating death of Tyre Nichols. As we all know, on January 7th, 2023, Tyre Nichols was pulled over by the Memphis Police Department Scorpion Unit for reckless driving. According to investigators, he ran from that stop. Once those officers caught up with him, he was pepper sprayed, threatened with a stun gun. He was kicked, punched, struck with a baton. It was just a brutal beating, and we all watched it on video. Tyre eventually went into cardiac arrest at the scene, and he died 3 days later in the hospital. An autopsy found that he died from blunt force trauma to the head. His death was ruled a homicide. So prosecutors argued during the trial that these officers either used or witnessed excessive force and failed to stop. Officers also didn't alert medical responders that Tyre Nichols had been struck in the head. Now, during the trial, the prosecution only called 5 witnesses, which were Tyre Nichols' mother, Desmond Mills, who was one of the officers who has already pled guilty to the charges against him related to Tyre Nichols' death, and the medical examiner who testified about how Tyre Nichols passed away. Now, the defense maintained that these defendants did not use excessive force. In fact, each of them called their own use of force expert that testified that the individuals used their police training to escalate force against Tyre Nichols to handcuff him when they say he resisted. They also said that Tyre must have been on some type of medication or something, some type of drugs, because he had this superhuman strength to fight off these officers. However, the toxicology report does not show that Tyre Nichols had any type of illicit drugs in his system. The defense basically blamed Tyre Nichols for his own death because he resisted arrest, and they also blamed specifically one of the other officers, Emmett Martin. They showed a video that showed him repeatedly kicking and punching Tyre Nichols in the head. They also said that Desmond Mills was unable to stop or see Emmett Martin's conduct due to the heavy use of pepper spray. So the jury that was selected from Chattanooga, and according to reporting, it is an all-white jury, acquitted these officers. Despite the video evidence, despite the injuries, despite all of that, they acquitted these officers. Now, these 3 defendants still face the prospect of years in prison because they were convicted on federal charges last year. They are scheduled to be sentenced in December. The 2 other former officers pled guilty to both state and federal charges. So they're going to spend some time in the clink for sure. Now, Tyre Beam and Justin Smith are currently out on bond under house arrest after their federal convictions, but Demetrius Haley is being held in federal prison. This is just so very sad. I'm sending my condolences to Tyre Nichols' family. I can't understand it, but at least they could face some extensive jail time in federal prison, because what they did, we all saw it. There's no disputing that. I don't know how that jury came up with this. But players, put your thoughts in the comments. It's Double D Mo for the Black Accurate News.